Alright, good morning, back again with another video. So today I'm going to go over what generation Grom is the best Grom for you. First thing that you should be accounted for is, are you stunning, are you commuting, like are you off-roading, what are you doing with your Grom? Because people use them for absolutely everything. Very basic thing you should know for each Grom is what generation is what. So first off, my personal favorite is the OG, the 2014 and 2015 Groms. And then the second generation of them would be the 2017 through 2020, known as the SF. And then we get up to the 22 to 24, which would be the SP, which some people might try to fight me on that, as there is not an official naming for the 2022. I'm going to call it SP for that, but there's not an official naming for the 2022. And then we have the fourth generation Grom, which is the 25 and up. The fourth generation Grom would just be a facelift SP. The only thing different is the plastics. Literally nothing else changes. So breaking it down, so let's get into what mine is. Mine is a 2022. It was originally, it was called Queen Bee Yellow. So it was a yellow 2022 Grom. I had the first one here in Omaha. At least from my dealer. I bought the first one from my dealer. I think there was one other one in town before mine. So I've had this Grom since 2021, August of 2021. And I fully built it about a week into owning it, had the handbrake cage, everything. So it did not take me long to build it. I was one of the first ones, if not the first fully built one in the country. And currently, is all custom painted. I have a PSD big rotor with a handbrake, MK Stunts axle sliders, CNC rear sets. I have a motor out of a 2017 through 2020 Grom. Steel braided lines, front rear, Yoshimura dual high mount exhaust, direct linkage shifter. I polished a triple trees, Olin's front rear suspension. I mean, there's about anything you can think of to a Grom, I have done to this Grom, but it is all specifically for stunt riding. It still commutes pretty well, but it's not built to be a commuter. Like, I'm just cruising right now. The speedometer always reads 0 because, well, I'm screwed up when I first rebuilt it, and it's got an ABS wiring harness. 3.5 years ago, I got in a pretty bad wreck on it. It was literally when this bike was maybe 4 months old. I totaled it. So I probably was the first one to rebuild one in the country too. So exciting times. So if we go into stunt riding and generational Groms, the reason I like the OGs the best is they can literally handle the abuse better than any other Grom. For some reason, the OG crankshafts are a lot stronger than the SF ones. I couldn't tell you why. I guess the OGs were the only ones built in Japan, so I guess you get that genuine Japanese quality, so that's a pro. But then another thing on the OGs, so the SF, so a lot of people like the SF. It's the best looking one. It's got the hump in the seat, so if you're stunt riding, it holds you in. You don't gotta hold on for dear life. But the SFs, the plastics are very, very brittle. I don't know if I've ever worked on one that has every single screw, push pin, bolt, everything in it. Even like my bone stock ones will be missing at least one clip. I have owned every generation Grom other than the facelift, and I have rode a few facelifts, so I can speak on them. But the OGs are they're super, super durable. They have Anki wheels on them too, which is the only generation Grom to have actual Anki wheels. The rest are all made by Honda. The only downside to the OGs now is they're getting kind of old. I mean, the newest one's 10 years old at this point. And the problem is Honda stopped making parts for them. You can still get almost everything, but there are a few things you can't get. So if you're going to stunt ride it, some people, like, you have issues, you bend the subframes. Well, now you can't get a new frame from Honda. So if you bend that frame, you're kind of screwed. You can modify an SF frame to work, or you can just SF frame swap it and get all the plastics and everything, which is actually an option. But it comes down to, is it really worth that? And I feel like give it another few years, probably, I'd guess, anywhere in that 3 to 5 year range, the SFs are going to end up the same way, where they're going to stop support for parts for them, just because they're getting old. But if you're gonna stunt ride, the SF is an awesome choice just because of the hump in the seat. The hump in the seat changes everything. And I mean, it's got the best headlight, I'll give it that. I do like the SFs. Now, as far as the 22 pluses, so the 22 through, current, the 22 pluses have a different motor than the old ones. It is now the 5-speed. The head studs are closer together than they are on the older generation Groms. So you can't do as big of big bores on the new ones as you can the old ones. The old ones you can make a lot faster. So let's get into, if you're trying to make power, you buy the old Groms. You can get 4-valve heads for them, and you can literally, with like a Gromfather's build, some people are pushing close to 50 horsepower out of a Grom motor. Like, yeah, every single thing in it's built, and I don't know how reliable it is, but 50 horsepower out of a Grom motor is insane. I don't know if anybody's broke the 20 mark on the new ones. I honestly have not seen anything about it, which that doesn't mean it hasn't been done. But I mean, that's over double the power going to the old Grom motor. But as far as commuting, I would say the 22 plus Grom is definitely the best one. You get that 5-speed, which has a little bit more top end than the old 4-speed. Granted, stock, I feel like the 5th gear is unusable. So if you want to make the 5-speed usable, you want to commute around, I highly recommend going with a DHM cam intake and exhaust, and then a DHM tune. And then 5th gear is usable. I mean, they can literally cruise at 70 miles an hour. It is perfect. And you still have a cheap, inexpensive bike. It doesn't cost that much to get it tuned, and it's not a hard process to do. So, being that the OGs are my favorite, the reason I still stick with this is I built this bike, right off the bat, like I said. It was an very, very early stunt build. Nobody knew anything really about the 22 pluses yet. So I'm like, they grew on me really quick. At first, I hated them. I thought these big circles on the side were the ugliest things in the world. But they grew on me. So I went and bought one. And I knew nothing about what I was getting into. I'm just like, I want to build the new Grom. I think it's cool. And then the issues that you run into, for me at least, is these panels break in. The oil pump, so even after you modify the oil pump for the pickup, so it doesn't starve in a wheelie, it still, after like 10, 11 o'clock, can't pick up oil just because of how this motor is designed. So some people do blow these motors from dragging out scrapes. But the worst part, if you're going to stoppie, almost everybody breaks these side panels in. On the 25s, literally, I personally still don't like how they look. They haven't grown on me at all. Because if you ever look up the Teo Hellcat, the 25 Groms look just like them. Like, it looks like Honda copied the Chinese clone, and I cannot unsee that from my head. But it is good. You do a stoppie, you can't smash the side of your panel in. This one's a little floppy. I have them JB welded, and I still somehow managed to break it. But the reason I didn't go back to the OG, I kind of got off topic. The reason I didn't go back to the OG is I ended up so deep in this bike, I'm like, I can learn this bike. I have learned this bike. And now it basically is an OG with the old motor. It rides like 95% the same. I get the cool speedometer. Oh yeah, another advantage of this bike. You get the great speedometer. It's got a gear indicator on it. Tells you how many miles per gallon you're getting. Like, it's awesome. You can even see like your average speed and everything. I think this speedometer is a huge upgrade. It's very modern versus the old speedometer. I mean, I think it's kind of cool still. I'm not gonna lie, but it feels a little dated compared to this. This is like exactly what we want on a bike. Every single Grom will cruise at about 7,000-8,000 RPMs, even maybe 9. Like, that's just gonna be you cruising around town. They're all super reliable. They're made to handle it. My roommate's Grom, he used to daily ride it. He's got like 18,000 miles on it. It sees so much rev limiter. It gets cruised at red line every time it's just out and about. And his miles are super high. He changes the oil every 1,000 miles. And it does not stop going. So one thing with these, if you own one or are looking to buy one and you're scared to ride in high RPMs, don't be. You're not going to kill it. Like, this bike is seriously made to be ridden at redline 24/7. When people tune them, like, there's a bunch of guys that stunt ride them that have them tuned. They have their rev limiter, so stock is either 9 or 9,500. They have their rev limiter set anywhere between 10 to 10,250. and they'll be in a wheelie, they'll pull in the clutch and just pop, 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 just banging rev limiter nonstop, and they just don't die. And these people are putting 10 plus thousand miles on them too. And if you're worried about miles on one of these, also don't be. A rebuild kit for it is $130. Yeah, you gotta go find somebody to install it, or if you want to install it, I have a video on how to do that. Overall conclusion to, the what generation Grom is the right one for you. Honestly, go with whatever you think looks best, because they are all great. They are all super customizable. Like, honestly, to me, I like the 4-speed motor better. Some people don't. Benefits and downsides to both of them. If you really want that 5th gear, yeah, get the 5-speed one. Like, if you love the speedometer, yeah, get the 5-speed one. But if you find the right OGSF Grom, don't hold back if you're like, love both of them. Like, get that OGSF. Because, end of the day, it's still a Grom. It rides like a Grom. It's fun. There's aftermarket for it. Like, you're not going to be disappointed with any generation of them. I think that's going to be the end of this video. If I forgot anything, got any questions, whatever, shoot them in the comments. I'll reply to them. Be happy to answer any questions. Until the next video, thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later.